The Flash episode 3 did not hesitate to already give us one of the biggest reveals of the season, and that is the identity of Red Death. I can't believe that we're already 3 episodes in and they already revealed who it is. I assumed they were going to wait till episode 5 at least, but I guess this is technically halfway through the first arc they have planned, so I guess this is where we're going. In this week's video, we're going to be breaking down, reviewing, and talking about the little Easter eggs laid within it. Also talking about references from the past seasons, as well as explaining what is going on at that ending. So let's jump into The Flash, episode 3 of season 9. Welcome to NonStopAntonio, where I talk about everything nerdy. I love Marvel, DC, and anime, and if you do too, I hope you enjoy this video. My full review for this episode is, it had some cheesy ass lines, but I think it worked, and I actually had a lot of fun watching this episode, and watching Goldface and Hotness figure out who Barry Allen really is. So let's jump into the breakdown and just talk about everything that happened. Because right off the bat, we get the Rogues stealing more devices so they could build a time machine, and we got a new introduction, and that is Murmur. I wasn't actually sure if Murmur was going to be part of the Rogues, or if they were just going to be like a serial killer that they're using. However, Murmur is here, and it's a gender-bent version of the character. Because in the comics, Murmur was originally a surgeon who went insane, and he went on a killing spree. His name was Michael Amar, and in this, her name is Michelle Amar. Not a big deal, same character, and in the comics, he cut his own tongue off and sewed his mouth shut when he was in jail. So I'm assuming that's what happened with this one, because in The Flash, we could see her using sign language to talk to the Rogues. So I'm pretty sure that's what they're trying to portray here. I like what they did. It's an interesting rogue to add because the other ones are more, they have more high-tech stuff, and this one's just stabby stab. And it looks like her costume, or even herself, can absorb vibrational frequencies, because when the Pied Piper shot her, she just took it like nothing and it didn't affect her. I like how it quickly showed us what they were doing and then jumps to Barry and Iris, who were acting like a couple. And I like seeing them kind of work together more as a married couple, rather than seeing them kind of argue on Team Flash and them being their own people outside of the team, because they're trying to check off stuff from their list before Iris gets pregnant. And I like where Barry and Iris win this episode too, because Iris talks about how she doesn't think she'll be able to pursue her dreams when she gets pregnant, but Barry reassures her that he'll be there to help her out with everything, and I like that dynamic, because it shows that Iris can still be independent and want to pursue her career and push it all forward while still having kids. And I think that's going to be a big thing this season, is her realizing she could still be the woman she wants to be while also having the kids she knows she's going to have. In this episode too, they really quickly put together the plan what the Rogues are doing, because Barry figures out all the devices they've been stealing are to build a time machine, but more specifically a cosmic treadmill. And originally, I was like, why would a speedster need a time machine? Because they say time machine, but it makes way more sense that Red Death would want a cosmic treadmill. Because in the previous seasons, we saw that Godspeed used the cosmic treadmill from 2049. And I like how when they're trying to figure out where to find the last device, they go to Hartley and they're like, hey, we need this device, where can we find it? And it's at the DOD. With General Eiling, who we haven't seen since season 1. At least I don't remember ever seeing him since the first season, when we got him in the Plastique episode, the episodes with Firestorm, and then the Grodd storyline that was all in that first season. And it's interesting just to see a quick flashback of a previous season, and that seems to be a trend this season, is we're going to get references to the earlier on seasons with earlier on characters that we haven't seen in either years or just a good while. I like how when they go on their little recruiting thing, Hotness is just working at Jitters, and he just kind of quits right there and then to come join this team that's going to save the world. And we saw the Hotness last season when he was framed for murder and Barry got him exonerated. And I'm shocked he asked Chilblain to join the team, because after last episode with Mark freaking the hell out because they didn't save Frost, I thought he would have hated Barry and Team Flash for what they did. But I did have a feeling he was going to betray them in the end, which he ended up doing that so that he can get Frost back, but we'll talk more about that when we get to that part in the episode. And then they go to recruit Goldface, and of all people, honestly, I think I like Goldface more this episode than I did in the previous seasons. Just his dialogue and the way he was acting, I just liked him a lot more. And I love how he's like, yeah, I don't care about love anymore, I just gave up Amulet Black, because he just wants to have his own life. And I also find it absolutely funny as shit that the only reason that he's helping Barry is so that he doesn't lose his territory, because if the Rogues go back in time, they can stop him from getting his territory at all. He's just like, well, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, which is unique because he's also, for whatever reason, helping Team Flash in the end. And through this episode too, they show that Barry is just really bad at hiding his true identity, because I've had this problem with throughout all the seasons is that they're really bad at keeping the Flash's secret identity a secret. And it's really shown in this one. Because while they're all in Star Labs, and they're about to rip each other's throats out because they're all getting on each other's nerves, and Barry doesn't trust any of them, and they end up just ditching Barry, Goldface is like, why do you have Star Labs? How do you have this kind of money? Who are you? Because he's just a forensic scientist at the CCPD, it wouldn't make sense for him to have Star Labs and own it. So it's very weird that this random person has this really high-tech facility. And I like how this whole situation leads to the Rogues kicking Barry off the heist team, because if Barry can't even trust them, why should they trust him? Which is true. If Barry wants them to be, if Barry wants their help, he has to trust them, even if he doesn't really trust them. He's got to put his trust in them. How many times am I going to say that in a row? But I find it funny that the whole reason that they were gonna fight in the first place is because they all wanted the device because it's worth a lot of money. And I love how Barry fixes that problem when they go to do the heist, where it's like Hartley gets the device because as long as he uses it to protect his team, it's okay. However, he will pay everyone $250,000. But then we get to the part where Barry's just really bad at hiding his secret identity, because he shows up to the heist and he apologizes for not trusting them, which is a good thing to do. And then Goldface is like, wait, how did you get here? We are so far away from the city. How'd you get here so quickly? And then we're like, why do you need meta disablers for a forensic scientist? Why would you need to disable any of this stuff? I love how Jack was like, wait a second, he's the Flash. And I'm just sitting here like, the hotness, Jacko Birch, who's just a random character, doesn't seem the smartest, figures out that Barry Allen and the Flash are one and the same. And I love how he's like, well, Barry and the Flash have the same jitters order. Like, dude, Barry, you are so bad at hiding your secret identity. I don't know what it was about that, but I absolutely love it, because I don't know what it was. Barry usually tells everyone his secret identity, but seeing a random rogue figure it out and then not having a single problem with it is just funny to me. And then we get into the heist part while they're disabling all the devices, and it's probably one of the cheesiest one-liners since the first episode, where they're just saying things while they're disabling their own devices, and it's just so cheesy, but I find it absolutely hilarious, and I loved it. And this is the kind of stuff that, if it's cheesy, but it works, I like, rather than just kind of throwing random cheesy lines where it doesn't fit as well, where in this, it felt right. And then we get back to the big part I was talking about, where Chillblaine betrays Barry. I figured this was coming after he got mad about Frost, and it makes sense, because if Red Death can offer him Frost, he's gonna take her up on that offer. Murmur actually fought Pied Piper, and Pied Piper actually lost. Like, you would think that Hartley would have had a actual chance, but Murmur kicked his ass, and even asked if he wanted to join him, because he would have been perfect on the team, but he said no. And I lied, the hotness and the Fiddler, when I first saw them starting to fight, where they're just kind of ducking behind a thing, shooting at each other, I'm like, this is kind of a dumb fight. But I really liked how they started bonding over their favorite band, and they kind of started flirting with each other, which was, it felt like something Hotness would do, and I really enjoyed that part. And then he got his ass kicked for being a simp. But she may still be interested, so hey, Hotness might have a chance if the Fiddler decides to go against Red Death. And I love when Chillblaine is taking down Barry. It's so ironic, because he's doing it to get Frost back, but this is a situation that if Frost found out he was doing it, she would hate him for it. So it's very ironic to see someone who's trying to do something so desperately to bring back someone they loved, that they're about to do something that goes totally against what that person would want them to do. And I feel like it's going to have implications on him, where if he does get Frost back, she's going to turn on him, or other way around, is he's going to see Frost, she's going to tell him off, and he's going to betray Red Death and probably get killed in the end. So we'll see. I'm interested in it, but I don't think things going in the right direction for Chillblaine. And then we get a cool Rogues versus Rogue shots where they're about to fight, and Red Death comes in and just knocks them all down like no tomorrow, and Barry's team has no chance. Barry's speed also gets dampened a little bit there, so maybe Red Death has something to siphon speed so she can get stronger, because then we get the face-to-face with Barry and Red Death, where I love his first impression is it's Thawne. Like, of course, you're going to think it's Reverse Flash. This is something the Reverse Flash would do, and it does sound like him in a sense. On top of it, I did not think they would show Red Death this soon to Barry, but again, I do think it's because they're trying to push the story along so they can do the first arc of the season and then go to the next one. This is where, starting next episode, I think we're going to start getting more and more characters from the previous seasons and other shows, because Barry says he needs a team to take him on, because Red Death has an army of rogues and he needs more help. And I like how Hotness wants to protect his son, so he joins the team, and Goldface just accepts because he wants to protect his turf. No other reason. Well, at least he says no other reason, but hey, Goldface might secretly just be a good dude. And this is where we get to all the big reveals of the episode and what's really going on. Because Barry and Iris talk about how Red Death seems like it's going to be the new avatar for the negative forces. However, I don't think that's the case. I think the negative forces are going to be with Cobalt Blue, because they did tease that at the end of last season. And I like how Barry recognized the symbol on Red Death's chest as a bat symbol. And we also get the connection earlier that a bunch of the tech might be from Wayne Enterprises. And then Chester calls Luke Fox. Luke Fox tells us that it's really advanced Wayne tech, which is most likely from the future. Hint, hint, with a big reveal. And also the fact that Batwoman, Ryan Wilder, disappeared recently. So she's just missing. Batwoman is nowhere to be seen. And then we get the big reveal at the end that Ryan Wilder is the Red Death. I don't think it's going to be Ryan Wilder from the Batwoman show. I think it's probably the one from the Reverse Flash timeline. And that would make sense. She has a white streak going through her hair. She's not that menacing with the helmet off. When she says, "I am vengeance," you know, a throwback to Batman. It didn't really feel right. It didn't really sound right. However, I am looking forward to finding out more about this Batwoman, because it's seriously not going to be the main Ryan Wilder one. I 100% think it's the one from Reverse Flash timeline, and that she made Ryan Wilder disappear so that she could use her body. Maybe she just went after Ryan and made her disappear for now, just so that she can masquerade as Batwoman if she needed to. But that's pretty much what's going on. We got the big reveal as Red Death. That wasn't that big revealing for me because I've seen leaked images. However, I am intrigued to see where this plot goes, because I did not notice a white streak in her hair, but that could also have just been the way she was standing in the picture I saw. So in this week's teaser for episode 4, we see that Barry's captured by Red Death, and I'm pretty sure Barry just gets captured so he can figure out more about Red Death and figure out who Red Death truly is, even though as an audience we know it's Ryan Wilder. He talks about how the negative forces corrupt you, so he truly believes that whoever this person is being corrupted by the negative forces. I don't think it's going to be the case. I just think this is someone with speedster powers from a different timeline, and it's not truly the negative forces. I think that's still tied to Cobalt Blue. And it also looks like at the very end of the trailer, someone is going to Barry and Iris' apartment. I think that's going to be our main Earth Prime, Ryan Wilder, because at the very end of the trailer, you could see a black suit, it looks like, and she kind of slumped over. That's where I think this is going to be Ryan Wilder going to Iris for help. She probably escapes whatever prison that Red Death has her in, because Red Death captured her so that there wouldn't be two Ryan Wilders running around. I think this is pretty cool. You know, I think it could be interesting. I know a lot of people wanted Red Death to be Bruce. I never saw that happening because of the fact that it's the CW and they're not allowed to use Batman. So it makes sense that it's not Bruce Wayne. I still was hoping it would be Oliver Queen, but then when I found out about the reveal, it was a little disappointing. However, I'm more curious to see what they're doing with this, even though it's not the Red Death we know and love from the comics. Even though, on top of it, everyone's like, Red Death is such a cool villain. Honestly, we didn't even get that much Red Death in the comic. It was literally during Dark Knight's Metal and that whole event. And I haven't seen Red Death since, so I don't understand why everyone's all pissy that's not Bruce Wayne. It's not that big of a character. It's a cool character, but it's not that big of a character. And I do like the comic backstory a lot more, because it's really interesting and the way they did it was cool, but they're not doing the Dark Multiverse. It's something completely different, and I am intrigued to see what happens next. What did you think of this episode, and did you see the big reveal coming? Let me know down in the comments. What do you think is going to happen next episode? Do you think this is the actual Ryan Wilder, or do you think the real Ryan Wilder is somewhere in Central City and needs to escape her prison, like I think? I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like my breakdown, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. It helps out the channel a lot, and you can stay up to date with all my Marvel and DC breakdowns. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.